Hello learners, Leon here. By the end of this video, you are going to get a research-backed process that will allow you to come up with ideas that are valuable, that will help you achieve your goals. So stay tuned. Do you have problems in your life regarding getting from A to B? Like maybe there's a certain place you want to get to regarding your health or your wealth or your relationships? Well, I want to share with you a process that entrepreneurs and educators use to come up with the best ideas that solve problems. Without further ado, let's begin. So, you have a problem and you want to figure out all your available options that you have to get from A to B. So really the first step is you want to sit down and actually identify the problem. Like, what is the problem? How are you feeling? What are you feeling? You want to write all of that down. What's the cause of the problem? Write all of it down. Writing all of it down will help you identify the areas that you need to tackle if you want to solve the problem. A lot of the time, we don't have just one problem. We think we have one problem, but it's a big problem, but in reality, it's probably a bunch of smaller problems. And if we can hit one small problem at a time, then all of a sudden, we would have solved a bigger problem. So for example, if we have a problem with our health, let's say I'm overweight and I want to lose some weight, well, chances are it's not just a matter of exercise. Sometimes it's a matter of exercise and eating habits and sleeping habits. It's a combination of all of these factors that make up this one big problem of I'm overweight and I don't know how to solve it. Or maybe you have a money problem. Like you want to make more money, but a lot of the time that big problem of I want to be more wealthy doesn't just come from I want to make more money in my business. That's not the only problem. This big problem comes from a bunch of small problems, right? Maybe your marketing is off. Your messaging is off. There's something wrong with your brand. Maybe you're not providing enough value, right? Maybe you're not productive or efficient enough during your job. Maybe you're making the wrong relationships, the wrong connections. So a whole bunch of these factors are causing your problem right now. You want to identify all of them, and then you want to move on to step number 2, which is identify the ideal state. What would the ideal state look like if all your problems were solved? Let's take the example of I want to lose weight, right? Like instead of having the ideal state of, oh, I want to go from 200 pounds to 170 pounds, I want to lose 30 pounds, and that's my ideal state. Now I have a more specific ideal state that I want to get to, right? So I want to be 170 pounds. And then I want to go through my list of problems and tackle them one by one. Oh, I want to sleep at 10 and wake up at 6 every single day. I think that's going to help me with my metabolism. I want to only drink water for a week and see what that does to my body, and then I want to see if I can continue that. So I want a consistent habit of drinking water. I want to eat less. I want to consume less calories throughout the day, and I want to take some time, I want to schedule some time in for exercise, right? So now, instead of having this idea of, oh, in order to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds, I have to exercise like crazy, which you might have to, but now it's more approachable because you don't have to exercise like crazy. Really, there are other ways to do it. You can exercise a little bit, ease in, but also change some of these other eating habits and sleeping habits, resting habits, snacking habits. If you are able to tackle a problem from multiple dimensions, all of a sudden, it becomes a lot more digestible. So number 1, identify the problems with all the mini problems, and number 2, identify the ideal state, the state that you want to be in that solves all those little problems. Number 3, you want to brainstorm. Now we get into the process of brainstorming, and there are actually a few rules around brainstorming that you want to follow. And the first rule that you want to adhere yourself to if you really want something good out of this experience, this process, is to subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. But on a more serious note, no, actually, the previous note was also serious. You should actually subscribe to my channel. But on a more serious note, the first actual rule is to defer judgment. Whatever ideas that you come up with, write them down. The worst thing you can do when you're coming up with an idea, or when you're helping somebody come up with an idea, is to say, oh, that wouldn't work, oh, that can't work. Even if in your head it is super ridiculous, like it actually wouldn't work. Write it down anyways, because through that process comes some of your best ideas. It's like when somebody's decided to invent a phone that had no buttons. Well, that wouldn't work, would it? The next rule is you want to stay on topic. So don't start thinking about what you're gonna have for dinner, or what you're gonna do tomorrow when you go out with your friends, or how much you're gonna drink, or any of that stuff. Stay on topic, okay? I'll leave it at that. Stay on topic. And finally, the fifth rule of brainstorming is be visual. A lot of people just brainstorm by writing things down. Sometimes I like to brainstorm using a mind map that connects different ideas. So I would literally write my topic in the middle. I would connect that to another problem, a subtopic, and I would write down a solution to that mini problem. And then if I have something that connects to the solution, I'll write another solution connected to that. Now, what you want to do in this process is aim for the quantity of ideas. For brainstorming, quantity is quality. You want to come up with as many ideas as you can. So let's say you have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 ideas down on a piece of paper. The next step that you want to take is to evaluate each idea. Now, how do you actually evaluate each idea? Well, remember, you wrote down all the mini problems that you want to solve, as well as the big problem that you want to solve. So now what you want to do is you want to map each idea to the problem. Map each idea to the problem. And then you want to get rid of the ones that you can't map, obviously. And then you want to evaluate each of the ideas under each of the mini problems. Like, is this one better than this one? Is this one better than this one? So usually when I evaluate ideas, I like to have a set of criteria, of factors that are important to me. So if my decision is how do I make more money, for example, then maybe my set of criteria would be like time, right? How much time does it take for this idea to actually work? How much money will I make with this idea? How many resources will I need to consume to make this idea into reality? Those are some of the factors that I would consider if I was thinking about ways to make more money, if that was my problem. And you wanna kind of rate each idea to the criteria that you've chosen. Now, if at this point in time you still have no idea what to do, it's very unlikely. Usually it's more information overload. You don't know when to start, where to start, how to start, but the idea is there. At this point, you just want to pick one and you just want to start. Stop thinking, stop overthinking about the massive amount of work it's going to take to achieve your goal, but just knock things off one at a time. Now, but at this point, if you really still have no idea, then you want to readjust your ideal state or ideal solution. Maybe you've identified a state that you can't get to right now, so you want to lower your expectations a little bit, get there first, and then brainstorm again on how you get to the next step. So if you're broke right now, there's no use in thinking about how you're going to make your $10 million, right? You should be thinking about how to get out of debt first. Okay, there's a different set of criteria that allows you to get from one place, and there's a different set of standards that gets you to the next place. Regardless, I think the most important takeaway of the exercise is to not judge yourself, have as many ideas as possible. There's no such thing as a bad idea during this brainstorming process, and give yourself some credit. In fact, give yourself some credit for being such an awesome person, because you're gonna smash that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. But yeah, brainstorming. Identify a problem you want to solve, and identify what sorts of mini problems need to be solved in order for the big problem to be solved. Identify the ideal state. What does it look like? How would you feel? What would you have if the problem was solved? And then brainstorm a list of ideas to tackle each of those mini problems. Remember, during the process, don't judge yourself. Come up with as many ideas as possible, and in the end you want to evaluate each idea to an objective set of criteria that you've decided beforehand. You want to be as rational, as logical as possible. Sometimes a little emotion is okay, but it depends on the problem that you want to solve. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Again, remember to smash that like button, because in the next video we're gonna go over something, well, you'll find out. Anyways, bye. See you next time, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.